Hey creative friends, it's Gwen and I'm back today with Challenge Me, Challenge You, the series that I'm doing in collaboration with Sue Plum, where we challenge each other to use our stash in new ways. For today's share, I am documenting this photo of myself which was taken at Christmas, and yes, I am using Crate Paper's Hey Santa collection. I'm also using this cut file from Cut to You, and I'm using stencils. I challenged Sue to create a Christmas layout and she challenged me to pull out my stencils. Here's a look at the layout we'll be creating and let's get started. Okay, so I'm jumping on in. The stencil that I've chosen to work with is from Scrap Mats. I will leave a link below. And I'm using heavy-bodied acrylic paint by Dina Wakely. And I really wanted to use the stencil and the paint to create a texture for my background. If you've known me for 5 minutes, you will know that I am not at all confident with mixed media. So this definitely was a challenge for me. So my workaround, the idea, my plan, was to get it done nice and early in the process. So I am going to add it to my background and I'm going to do it first. This way, I can have a bit of a play with the medium and all of that, and I'm not going to ruin anything that I've created. I knew that I wasn't adding a lot of layers here. I'm just going to be using this one stencil. So I have not treated my background pattern paper with anything. I haven't gessoed it or anything like that. I have just used my T-square ruler to line the stars up, line the stencil up nice and square. And then I'm just going to push the paint through with a paint spatula. I'm not going to be adding the stars to the entire background. I just want them in the section of the layout where I'm going to be placing my photo and cut file. So they'll really act as a bit of a grounding layer to the structure of the page. That's the plan. And you can see here the finished product. So just in one little section of the background there. And look at that shine, so pretty. As I mentioned earlier, I am using Hey Santa collection by Crate Paper. And it has the most vibrant, beautiful red. I am all about Christmas. I love it so much. I love scrapbooking Christmas. So I'm going all in on the red. The red also happens to match perfectly with my Christmas hat that I was wearing in the photo. So this red will be used on the frame for my layout and then for my photo mat. For my cut file, I'm going to back it in a color, this pretty pink, that's a little bit softer. I didn't want to have it be too red. Same with this green. I was toying with this deeper green initially, but I do end up going with a softer tone in this check pattern here. It's time to back the cut file, so I'm going to pull out my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'm going to work section by section, and I'm going to have the word happy in this pretty pink tone, and then the word Christmas will be in the green pattern paper. And here is the plan for the layout. So my photo is going to go on the left and my title, being the cut file, will go on the right. I'm also really keen to fit in some embellishments on the right hand side of the letter T there. So I am going to sort of have a play with positioning that before I lock down my photo and my title. I do want to make sure everything looks very centered on the page. You might not have noticed, but I was finding the background stars that I had stenciled in that little section behind the stocking there. They were a little bit straight, although not straight's not the right word. I know you can sort of see the edge of the stencil and they weren't quite as nicely spread out as the rest of the stars that I had done. So I just wanted to soften that edge a little bit by adding an embellishment over the top. I did audition Santa here, but he seemed a little bit too big for my liking. The stocking was the right size. It just took me a couple of goes and a little bit of auditioning to nut that out. And this is the flow for the page. So photo top left, flowing down to the title bottom right. It was at this point that I was finding that that section next to the photo was a little bit tricky for me. I wanted something to fill in the space, but when I added more square elements, it felt very heavy and very block-like. I did find this oval chipboard piece, but spoiler alert, it doesn't end up staying there. I did end up deciding that it was too big. It still wasn't quite right for that space. I am going to keep it there while I lock my title into position. It is raised up on foam tape, and I'm using my T-square ruler just to make sure it is perfectly level. I have also added some foam behind my photo. So the photo and the title are actually sitting very flat against each other. And here is where I decide that I would really like to pull in a little bit of that deeper green shade. I love the little banner piece up the top that says warm wishes. And then there was a really cute banner in the chipboard set that says deck the halls. So it's going to go across my title. And then, oh yes, I found a green banner piece that you see down the bottom there. It says holiday cheer. It was at this point that I realized that my photo had yet to be stuck down. So I had better lock that into position now. And of course, I'm going to use my T-square ruler to do that. And it's now time to start thinking again about that top section of the layout. I do go back through all of the embellishments that I have in the collection. I do find a couple of tags, and it's at this point that I realize that to stop it from looking too block-like, I need to extend that embellishment cluster up above the photo slightly. The tags end up being ideal embellishments for that because they've got those details at the top. I do end up auditioning quite a few options. In the end, I go with the pink and white one that you see there for above the photo, but the area there to the right of the photo still needs some work. I did find this die cut piece here. This one was a tag, and I had trimmed the top of the tag off to use on another project. So I'm going to layer that in there, and then I'm going to add in the green tag that you see on the left, and it will become the third part of that cluster up the top there. And it's going to help me balance out the green that I was talking about earlier. I am feeling very thrifty today, so I am just going to trim off the top section there and then slide it in underneath, and that's where it's going to go. With that sorted, I can go on to adding my smaller embellishments now. That is the last of the large pieces all mapped out in position. So I'm going to turn my attention to the sticker sheet and these cute little pieces of holly. Things are getting serious because I am going to glue things down. Really happy with how this is all looking. So I will lock into position the banner piece at the bottom, and I found this super sweet bow. I'm all about them bows. So it is going to go at the bottom of the layout right there. You get a brief sneak peek at the part of the stencil that I want to cover up. So that stocking is definitely going to go right there. I'm also going to lock in the position of this top banner piece. You can see that I have raised that one on foam as well. It's at this point that I'm realizing that the area underneath the photo there is quite bare. I'm wishing that I had extended the stars ever so slightly higher so that they filled that space between the bottom of the photo and the first star that you see. But I have got a plan for it. I've got an idea, and I am going to add in a couple more of these stocking icons. It ended up working out perfectly because I do like to replicate icons in my embellishment clusters, and there was only the one stocking. So I feel by adding a couple more, it just kind of gives the page a little bit more cohesion. I was also at this point thinking, you know what this page needs? It needs more gold. So I did pull out these sweet little puffy hearts that I've had in my stash for the longest time. They're from DIY shop. Pretty sure you can't even get those anymore. And I add them into the center of the peas in Happy. They are the same gold as the paint in my background in the stars. So that ties together really, really beautifully. I'm going to lock into position a couple more of the chipboard pieces that I had placed some time ago. I am not done quite yet. I do want to add in a couple more icons, and I'm going to go with these cute little snowflakes. I know, we're in Australia and Christmas and snowflakes just don't go together here, but I'm just rolling with the theme. There are so many Christmas collections that come out from America and they all have snowflakes on them. I've just got to use what I have, so I am going to sprinkle around some Christmassy snowflakes on my page. Thank you so much for being here, my creative friends. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to check out Sue Plum's video. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'll also leave you this video here, which is another Christmas inspired layout. Thanks for spending your creative time with me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye!